Hey, everybody, and welcome to the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. We did it. We survived. We made it. The NFL draft, it came. It happened. It went. And I miss it already.
It was a really fun. Well, day 2 was not as fun.
Well, okay, so here's day 2 is when it got interesting. There was a lot of it's funny, not often when draft goes kind of chalk is it still entertaining. A lot of this felt very chalk. Like a lot of the teams we knew needed quarterbacks took quarterbacks. The teams we thought needed running back took running backs. And then Seattle happened, but we'll talk about that in a bit. A lot of it was very, we've heard for months now the Ravens like Zay Flowers. The Ravens took Zay Flowers. It was still like it was a lot of fun. And I love listening now to the people that are like, well, this draft class is overrated and underwhelming now. And I'm like, why? What do you
running
want?
Backs.
We have an entire second round of running backs that went to good spots. What don't you like about that? Did you think you were getting Saquon in the second? I'm sorry if you did think that.
I mean, I wanted more day 2 running backs. And Charbonnet did not go to Seattle.
When there was this many running backs, you knew teams weren't going to clamor, they weren't going to go nuts for it. Why? The supply was there for the demand. Like, it's the same thing with last year and the quarterbacks. If there were less of those mediocre quarterbacks, which there was like 4 or 5, 1 or 2 of them would have gone in the second. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's move forward. Russ Fisher, Dynasty, Addison, Hayes, and Maze Hayes _ I'm ready to talk about this. Forget all that stuff. So we are clearly talking about the draft, and we are talking this week about, I don't want to call them losers. Nobody's a loser, but let's just say their dynasty stock got negatively affected by what their team did in the draft. That sounds good. Like I feel like I'm about to be like a political journalist, well, one with integrity, I guess, but trying to say things in a polite way as possible without offending anybody. And it's the one we alluded to multiple times already where we're starting off. Kenneth Walker now has some very talented, not competition, he is a very talented teammate in the running back backfield. And for the NFL, this is helpful because Charbonnet's a big dude. Charbonnet's a better pass catcher than Kenneth Walker, but Kenneth Walker's more explosive. So I think we're going to see a lot of, not necessarily Kenneth Walker being a third down back, but Kenneth Walker being in negative game scripts and in maybe towards the end of the game if they're closer down, because you're going to need that any given run can go for 50 yards and a touchdown. And I think that's what we've seen Kenneth Walker can do. Okay, let's get to these trades now. 12-team Superflex. We have Kenneth Walker and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who I also listed as a loss in here, but I'm guessing there aren't that many DPJ trades that made it to the list. No. All about Tillman, baby. So Kenneth Walker and DPJ for the 108 and Rashad Penny. Another loser in this sort of draft, even though it wasn't really the draft. It was that guy behind Addison's head who probably spelled the N for Rashad Penny. Ken Walker coming in at 494. And Donovan Peoples-Jones, 20 for a total of 514. The 108, 285, and Rashad Penny, 29 for a total of 315. This is a super flex league. At the 108, you're talking Quentin Johnston, you're talking Zay Flowers, you're talking... I am not for Dalton Kincaid at the 108, but that's his Trade Addicts ADP right now.
Yeah, that's where he's got to be.
Not... Different story, different day. Depending on how the draft falls, because the thing is, no, it doesn't matter how it falls. It would have to be very, 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 very weird for the 108 to not either be Addison or Quentin Johnston, who are the two players I would take if either of them fell. And the thing is, like, if both of them got taken, which means JSN or Gibbs or one of the quarterbacks, like those top 7 players and Quentin Johnston, I would take over Kenneth Walker at this point. So I'm taking the 108, and DPJ and Rashad Penny don't mean much at this point. So I'm going to take the pick side, even though it is 200 points the minor on the analyzer.
Well, yeah. So this hasn't the analyzer hasn't updated. Well, obviously, whenever we have May ADP, then that'll show
those started. Yeah, I'm in one of those.
The new reflection on Walker's value. But yeah, I think that this trade, so this is the most recent trade in the trade finder. And I think it just shows very clearly how far Kenneth Walker's value has fallen. And you even just said that you would take the Superflex 108 over Kenneth Walker, which like 4 days ago, we were trading multiple late firsts for Kenneth Walker, or a mid and a late. And, that's just how far he's fallen. I would still take Kenneth Walker over the 1.08. I think he's a better running back than Zach Charbonnet. He was drafted higher than Charbonnet was last year. I get the argument for Sharp is a better receiver, but I think Walker is also, like, I think that is more of a product of Charbonnet did it more in college. Like, I wish Walker got receiving work in college.
But he didn't get receiving work last year except for one game.
True.
And he caught the ball, but that doesn't mean he did not do anything with it when he did.
I'm not saying that Kenneth Walker is Jahmyr Gibbs or anything. I'm just saying that I don't think that there's a massive difference between Walker and Charbonnet receiving wise, outside of we've just seen more of it from Charbonnet in college. Whereas I think Walker is a much better runner than Zach Charbonnet.
Pure runner, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's just like, I want both of them. I think that they're both going to be fine. They're going to cannibalize each other when they both, are healthy and they're both playing. I think Walker is on the 55 side of a 55-45. And then if one of them gets hurt, like if Charbonnet got hurt, Walker is back to being a easy top 10 running back for that amount of time. On the flip side, Charbonnet would probably be a top 10 back if Walker got hurt. So I think Walker in the 108, I'd take Walker over the 108. So
in the smallest of smallest sample sizes, I'm in the one quarterback mock going on right now. Kenneth Walker went at the 206, right ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs.
Wow.
Which, I'm sorry, that's wrong. So I'm scrolling down here looking at the draft, and I think I put Kenneth Walker in around the beginning of the fourth, around this Christian Watson, Tony Pollard, Brandon Ayuk, Ramondre Stevenson area. And that's right where Jordan Addison and Quentin Johnston were drafted. So I feel kind of validated in what I was saying, that like that's where I would take him. Because that's where I do value him, I guess.
Yeah, it's close for sure between if you want to just take the shot on the young wide receiver, or if you just want a player that has shown top 10 running back upside, just now has some competition with him.
Yeah, I think he will be easily an RB2 still. Like that offense should be really, really good. As far as Geno Smith can take it, really, really good. But
it's kind of like Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. Like they were both,
that's fair. That's
RB20s ish. One did it on the receiving volume. One got
be a little better. But okay, so before we get too tangled into that, let's go see this next atrocity. Kenneth Walker for the 201, 203, Brock Purdy, and Cortland Sutton. I've seen Cortland Sutton thrown in a lot of trades just to like add value, even though he doesn't seem like part of the trade. Poor Cortland Sutton.
He was also kind of a loser from the draft too.
I put him on there, yeah. I put him on the list.
Yeah.
Which makes, I loved him so much. But okay, so Kenneth Walker still at 494. I'm not even going to bother. They're all worth 100-something points, and it totals to 525. So we've compiled the value of Kenneth Walker. And hold on, let me pull this up. So the Trade Addicts ADP, we have 4 leagues drafting, but the 4th league is at the beginning. Just started this morning.
Yeah, kind of waiting on somebody.
Yeah, me, by the way. At the 201, we're looking at Zach Charbonnet, Devin Etienne, Sam Laporta, Michael Mayer, maybe Will Levis falls. He's in between 11 and 12 in our 3 leagues. Saying the name Devin Etienne out loud, I think like as we go, he's going to boost up a spot or two. Like I think, like, because what were we saying? Like, where do you want this guy to land? Where do you want that guy to land? Which guy besides Bijan and Gibbs are going to be the most valuable running back? The answer, Miami. At least whoever lands in Miami. And A-Chain did. And what is A-Chain? He is Raheem Mostert. He's a little fast dude.
Yeah. A little fast dude. Emphasis on the little.
Well, Mostert's not the
and
biggest
fast.
Dude. Except A-Chain isn't 46 and on his 13th NFL team. So,
Hmm.
like, I think A-Chain walks into a really good situation. So I think he bumps up a bit. I got him at the two. Well, hold on. Let me see what it is. Because I track also earliest and latest. Yeah, the earliest he was picked was 11. The latest he was picked was 14th, and I got him in the 14th pick. So, yeah, 202. Is that what that is? Math is hard for me sometimes. All of that still being said, like, you got to take Kenneth Walker here. Like, because we're not dart throwing. Everything on this is a dart throw. There is nothing whatsoever that feels safe in this side. We want to think Brock Purdy's going to come back, be healthy, and be the starter. If he is, you crushed it.
Yeah.
But he might not. Cortland Sutton literally may never be a thing again, which makes me super, super sad. And the 201 and 203 are, you will get players you like, players you feel good about. Like, you could go take Devin A-Chain and then get the guy who knocked Cortland Sutton off his team in Marvin Mims and feel great about it, even though that's early for him. I just wanted to tie it together. But the answer is still Kenneth Walker. Even in that committee, to me, the answer is Kenneth Walker.
Yep, I agree. It's a bunch of quarters for a dollar bill, and I would just rather try to get something closer to a dollar bill. Can I just get a 24 first and like a 24 first and Cortland Sutton if they wanted to get rid of Sutton? Boom. Just made that trade offer so much better.
Or like the 201 and a 24 first. Like, there's so many, like a 24 first in almost any of this.
Yeah, a 24 first and pick one of these guys. Maybe you get Purdy out of it anyway. If you want to take the shot on getting the starting quarterback in Superflex, there you go.
24 first and Purdy. Yeah, that works.
Money.
Yeah.
Made it so much better.
Okay, so the next one, I put Travis Etienne as my losers. And then in parentheses, I put sort of. Or I think I put sorta, just the one word, informal.
Yeah.
Because I'm an informal kind of guy. So Travis Etienne shouldn't be a workhorse back. And I think that it's not that even I think. Jacksonville has come out and said, we're going to add a running back. We're going to add a running back. And then they added a running back. So we shouldn't be surprised by this. I love that it's Tank Bigsby. I love Tank Bigsby. And 80% of that is because it's the greatest name ever. And 20% because he's good at football. He's very good at everything. He's just not great at anything. Like, so I get that. I feel that. I am literally the definition of jack of all trades, master of none. I could do I could do almost everything pretty well. I am not great at doing anything.
You, Tank, and Isaiah Spiller. Yep. Yeah. The expectation was that they would add somebody. It's just personally, I'm not the biggest Tank Bigsby fan. I think that him just being good at everything but not great at any one thing is actually good for Etienne, because I think it'll showcase how much better Etienne is when he has the ball in his hands than Tank Bigsby. If this helps keep Etienne, healthy for 16, 17 games, I'm all for that. If that means that Etienne is catching still 4, 5, 6 passes a game and maybe sees, 10 rush attempts a game in the 20s somewhere, between the 20s, then I think that that's fine too. And I think his talent is good enough that he'll be able to take one of those, either to the house, or that one reception that he catches on the 17-yard line would be a 17-yard reception for a touchdown. So I think he's talented enough. This is kind of like, I love DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is a person who for the past 3 or 4 years has been somebody who just needs to have a 1B. And I think Etienne kind of fits in that same category. And those are the kind of guys that I love. So I think that this, while it hurts Etienne, I would love to be buying Etienne if the sentiment is that this really hurts Etienne.
Let's go see the prices. Not like this. Oh, man. Oh, wow. I can't even pick a phrase to add to it's oh my and oh wow just combined itself. In a 12-team Superflex league, Travis Etienne and Brandon Cooks were traded for Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara. Travis Etienne is 469. Brandon Cooks 60 for a total of 528. Chris Olave 581. Alvin Kamara 127 for a total of 708. Yeah, this is just Olave. There's I got nothing. This is a lot. This is someone must have thought you're thinking, but just said, this is great for Etienne because he's going to stay fresh and he's going to hit those home runs more often because he won't be tired from that stupid grinding of 2 yards. And then must have hated Chris Olave. Like maybe they're just that big of an A.T. Perry fan where they're like, oh, well, Olave is dead now.
A.T. Perry fan. Yeah. Or they looked at the stats and they're like, oh, Olave was like only the wide receiver like 25 last year.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, this was a trade that I would have done last Monday or Tuesday before the NFL draft, you know, let alone now that we know that Tank Bigsby's was drafted by the Jaguars, all that kind of stuff. I would have done this trade before the draft.
If I had Etienne and Brandon Cooks and someone sends me this is the kind of trade where I DM them and be like, hey, did you pull a me and miss a button somewhere? Because I'll take this if you're good with it. Of course, then they say, no, it was a mistake. And then they add something because of my reaction. But like, I would feel bad accepting this. Like, that's how off I think it is.
I was going to say, that's a mistake that many dynasty managers just won't. They'll be like, nah, I'm just hitting accept. And then I'll talk to them later and figure it out.
It's different when you're the commish. You kind of feel like you need to protect the league a little, even though one trade has literally never destroyed a league. It doesn't. All right, let's move on to the next one of a 12-team one quarterback league where Travis Etienne was traded for the 106, 109, and David Montgomery. Travis Etienne 596.2, the 106, 405, 109, 305, nice and easy, and Montgomery 146 for a total of 856. So we have compiled more than enough value. So looking at the Superflex ADP we have for trade addicts and taking out the quarterbacks, we're talking somewhere in that Kincaid, Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, and then Charbonnet, A-Chain, Laporta Mayer, Mingo kind of area. So we are out of at least what I would call the top tier of players, which is really 2 tiers because Bijan is by himself. And some people do have Gibbs by himself. I do not. He's in that tier of JSN, Gibbs, and Addison still for me. Like they're still a tier.
If you attach names to it, we'll say Zay Flowers, I think, because I think he's more commonly the 4th wide receiver off the board.
People, which I don't get, man. Like I get it. Zay Flowers in a new, what is hopefully exciting Ravens offense, but like, man, you give me the new wide receiver 1 for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I think like 103 would be JSN, then 4 and 5 are Quentin Johnston and Jordan Addison and whatever. So then you're getting Zay Flowers at 106.
Yeah.
And then 109 would just say is one of the running backs. That's not A-Chain. I think it'd be Charbonnet or Kendre Miller.
Okay.
And David Montgomery. Would you send all that for Etienne? Attaching names to those picks? I want Etienne.
I'm stuck on thinking that the 106 is going to be Quentin Johnston, and I just want him on my team. But if you put the name of Zay Flowers and Kendre Miller, yes, I would trade Zay Flowers, Kendre Miller, and David Montgomery for Travis Etienne, because everything you said before is good for Etienne. He shouldn't be out there for 80% of snaps. He's not that running back. So pull him off for another 15%. Keep those legs a little fresher, a little longer into the game. Get more of those home runs. Get more of those catches. This will be good. This should be good for Etienne. I can't see the future, but yeah, no, like I almost rookie fevered a little bit, but no, I'm gonna take Etienne. And
yeah,
assuming my team is in the place where I want a good running back on my team, I would do that for Etienne. Would not do it the other way around. Yeah, I would not send Etienne for these picks.
Agreed. I need a higher. I want to get. Ideally, I'd like to get 103 too, so I can get JSN. I feel like you could maybe do that. Like if you got JSN and Dave Montgomery and maybe a second, like a 24 second instead. Bam.
Yeah, if this was the 104, where we get whoever that last player, which is most likely going to be Addison. So if this was like the 4, sure, fine, let's drop the other, the 4, the 11, and David Montgomery, I would do it just because that one pick is better, because that one pick gives me a player I feel that much better about. All right, let's move on to. I thought you were joking.
No, I was serious.
Tell me why Jordan Love is a loser in the NFL draft.
Okay, all right. So here's why Jordan Love is a loser.
Is it because they drafted a good wide receiver and 2 good tight ends to join the team, which they never did for Aaron Rodgers?
Yes and no. So I think I like Jaden Reed. I like Luke Musgrave. I like Tucker Kraft. I feel like we are overestimating how good they actually are because I think we see the potential and the opportunity that they have in Green Bay. Like, I don't know if Jaden Reed necessarily was a mid second round wide receiver talent. Like Luke Musgrave, I think has potential, but he got hurt. He had like 2 games of production last year, and that was it. And Tucker Kraft played at South Dakota State. So I think that they're fine. What I would have preferred is they had an opportunity to take JSN. They passed on JSN or Addison or Quentin Johnson, whoever it was. They passed on all the first round wide receivers. That would have been much better for Jordan Love. And then I'm not saying that this is bad for Jordan Love, but they drafted Sean Clifford in the 5th round. Penn State didn't think he was going to get drafted, but he did. I'm not saying that's bad. Like, I'm not saying that Sean Clifford is taking Jordan Love's job, but what I'm saying is that they had the opportunity at that pick. They could have taken Xavier Hutchinson. Say what you want about Kayshon Boutte, but like he has upside and potential. Like, I think that he would have been fine as their wide receiver 3 or their wide receiver 4. And then also there was Trey Palmer, who I think is kind of underrated as well. Parker Washington would have been fine. There's multiple other wide receivers that they could have had on day 3, but instead they decided to take Sean Clifford, who, yes, like Penn State, but Sean Clifford's not good. So I didn't really understand why they wanted to do that. And then this is probably the most indicative part of how the Packers actually feel about Jordan Love is they didn't give him a 5th-year option. They gave him a 1-year extension for 2024, which actually lowered the amount of guarantee money that they owe him next year by about 7 or 8 mil. And the only benefit that it had for Jordan Love was that he has the potential to make $2 million more if he hits all of his incentives than what he would have on the 5th-year deal. So the Packers like basically like child-proved themselves that if Jordan Love sucks this year, they don't owe him $20 million in guaranteed money. They owe him like 12, and they can just easily move on from him next year. So it's like just extra insurance.
Or they just have more cap space to help him with.
It's Jordan Love insurance on
or they just have more draft cap space.
I just think that we're overvaluing how good Reed and the 2 tight ends are, and
it would have been they drafted multiple pass catchers. And yes, you're absolutely right. They were later and maybe not the players that other people would have taken there. I'm still sticking with yay, they tried, because that's the best we could do for the Packers drafting.
I mean, a try is okay.
All right, let's get to the trades and see how we feel about this anyway. In a 12-team Superflex league, the 109 and Jordan Love was traded for the 103. Man, I would send that all day to move up to the 103.
Dude, you getting either Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson? Yep.
You say that. Anthony Richardson is the 102 in our ADP.
I took him at 102.
So you're getting Stroud or Young.
Well, I mean, but you're guaranteed in my eyes, the 1 and 2 are Richardson and Young. You're guaranteed one of them. It's a massive upgrade over Jordan.
Yeah, you're getting one of these starting quarterbacks that are good. Yeah, I would easily send this to go move up. If anything, because the ceiling is just there at the 103 as opposed to Jordan Love in the 109. It's just, I don't think I could. Yeah, no, winner or loser or not, this feels like the good value of the 103. And it has absolutely nothing to do with what happened in the draft.
Yeah, that's fair. These are all post-draft trades, so I think it's just interesting to see what people are valuing Love at right now, which
that's pretty decent value to move up those 6 spots from outside of the, like, you're dropping more than a tier. Like, you're not just going to the next tier, you're going to the one below that. Mm-hmm. And Jordan Love is, for me, not a long enough bridge to get you there. So I'd be very happy to have this accepted and me get the 103.
Yeah, me too.
The next one we have is 12-team Superflex and 2-point PPR for tight ends. Jordan Love straight up for George Kittle. Jordan Love 225.9, George Kittle 317.1. I mean, that's close enough. That's the difference of like a late second or a third, whatever. But also going along you're getting a quarterback without giving one back. You should pay a little more. The premium is by no means enough in the analyzer for a 2-point PPR. So we're going to have to boost Kittle's value even more. See, gets a little situational to me because chances are I do not have a single team where Jordan Love would be my QB2. If that's the case, I easily send Jordan Love to go get George Kittle. If I'm in a league where Love is my QB2 because I knew he was a starter and I'm just fine putting him in that spot, and maybe it's not the most active league in the world, I would probably hold on to Love and not trade him for Kittle. Now, to put this in the other direction, if I was offered Jordan Love for my George Kittle, and I'm coming off of a championship run after losing Tom Brady now. No, I'd keep the upside of Kittle at tight end with that premium.
Yeah. This one's George Kittle to me. I feel like you have to be
the more I talk about it, the more it just really is. But
there really is a very specific situation where you would take Jordan Love, but I feel like the other 95% of situations you're taking George Kittle.
Yeah, that's very, very fair.
And this is in the would you do this in Trade Addicts? Trade Addicts is 1.75. So does the 2 change it that much for you?
No.
Would you do this in 1.5?
Still Kittle. I really like Kittle. He's tight end 4 for me, because that's still have to keep Pitts up there. Plus, I'm all in on Atlanta at this point because Atlanta is all in on Atlanta. And that's enough for me.
They're going to win that division, dude. I'm going to put a bet down on them.
Unfortunately, it's not that difficult. And look what they did with, man, my hair just got some nice height after I did that. Look what they did with Tyler Algier. Now think about what they're going to do with Bijan wearing number 7. I hate it. I'm such an old man. I hate the single digit thing. No.
Unless it was 0. I wish he was 0.
No,
he'd be a cool 0. Or 5. 0. Keep his college number.
No, I hate people who use the number 5.
Unless there's an 8 in front of it.
So yeah, you're right. It's I think I'll go 90% of the time it's going to be Kittle. I'm going to steal that 5% back. So it shows that I'm a little more on the Jordan Love side than you are, because I still don't think he lost anything. I think if anything, they will at least be able to say, well, look, we tried, and then move on from him when he fails, because it's not like they gave him anyone we know can be dependable in the NFL. But also, that's just the way Green Bay does it. Green Bay does not like to pick anything dependable, like taking Christian Watson last year, where there was other more dependable wide receivers on the board. They shot for a ceiling, which they didn't have a floor.
I mean, Watson has the potential to pan out for sure. Maybe Jayden Reed is the exact same way. And again, I like Jayden Reed. I think that he was a nice, not flyer pick, kind of above the flyer pick. I just don't know if he was kind of the person that they should have necessarily leaned on there in the second round.
I can get behind.
I don't know if that helps. I don't know if that helps Jordan Love. I also don't think Jordan Love is that good.
Well, yeah, so that's the biggest problem. But it's better than them doing nothing. It is better than them taking a wide receiver in the second, even if it was the wrong wide receiver, at least shows a little bit of dedication to the offense. Like last year, when the Bears traded for Chase Claypool, they traded for the wrong wide receiver, but they traded for one, which means they were trying to put effort into their offense. And then they did the right thing and got DJ Moore. Baby steps. You can't expect too much out of these GMs.
They're every team needs to they need to mess up. For every time that the Eagles took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, they eventually got to Devonta Smith and AJ Brown. So
exactly, it takes time. You got to give them 3-4 years of bad mistakes before they make one good one, and then 2-3 years before they make another good one. It's just you got to wait. It's just the way the NFL works. Just like you're going to have to wait for our next episode, because this is the end of our. Never mind. It's the end of our draft loser show. I was going to try and come up with a much longer, complicated sounding way of saying it, but I'm not going to do it. The energy is gone. Russ needs coffee. So this has been the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at Amaze Hayes _. We'll catch you next time.